Serifi, a girl, gets taken in chains to a place called the Kingdom of Beasts, Osmargo, as a kind of offering. The king is interested when she's impolite to his helper, Anubis, but she isn't scared. Her name means sacrifice, and her foster parents raised her as a stand-in for their own daughter, and she's okay with her destiny. The king treats her as a guest for a short time and shows her a town on the border where flowers grow, which is one of the few places in the kingdom that isn't filled with poisonous air. On the night they plan to do the sacrifice, in a hidden underground room, Serifi faces an attacker who wants to harm the king, but someone suddenly stops him. It turns out that this person is actually the king, and he feels very bad about hiding his true identity because his mother was a regular human. This special transformation happens on rare moonlit nights of the revelation, when he's supposed to consume the sacrifice. He secretly sets the sacrifices free and cuts himself to make it seem like they bled. He also symbolically breaks Serifi's chains. The next day, when he's in his beast form, he shocks everyone in his court by saying that Serifi will be his queen. Serifi calls the unnamed king Leonheart, which means brave heart, and he's okay with that name. The king's advisors ask him to think again about his choice for a queen, but he says no. He tells Serifi not to call him Leonheart in front of others. Serifi makes some paper flowers to pretty up the castle and compares Leonheart to a carpenter bee because he's big and gentle. At a big meal where they're introducing Serifi to the rest of the kingdom, the guests from different beast races are surprised to find out a human will be the queen. Serifi wins them over by helping the servants serve food, and this also impresses Leonheart. During the meal, a reptilian tries to make Serifi trip, and she ends up spilling wine on the king. But Leonheart knows what's going on and gets ready to hurt the troublemaker, but Serifi stops him to prevent any fighting. After the meal, Serifi feels bad for not being more helpful, but the king takes her to a beautiful faraway place on his dragon-like holy beast Wyber. He tells her that her job is to help control his angry side, just like she did with the reptilian. Then he lets her call him Leonheart when they're alone. Serifi tries to learn things in Osmargo, but Anubis gives up because she's not very good at studying. Anubis mentions that Leonheart hasn't taken a break in a long time, so Serifi asks him to take a walk with her in the town. Leonheart hides his face with a hood, and they both pretend to be beasts. They have a good time talking to the people, and even help a lost child find his mom. But Serifi starts feeling sick, and her disguise falls off. The people get really mad when they see she's a human, and Leonheart has to run away with her. Back in the palace, Serifi passes out, and the doctor says she got poisoned from the bad air in the kingdom. Serifi wakes up in a human town, where a doctor and his wife are taking care of her. They tell her that someone left her at their door with money and a note in a language they can't understand. She stays with them and helps out. When the people in the town find out she was the sacrifice, they make a mess at the clinic and hurt the doctor. They make her leave, and she feels really sad. She goes into the woods, but Leonheart, looking like a human, finds her. He explains that the note said he'd come back for her after he got a special ring to protect her from the bad air. They go back home, and Serifi thinks of the ring like a wedding ring. Serifi finds out that Leonheart's mom pretended to be a beast. She meets Vivian, who is the cat's princess. Vivian and other princesses from different beast groups want to marry Leonheart, or at least be his special friend. One day, Serifi walks in on Vivian trying to get close to Leonheart in a romantic way. She feels jealous and leaves, not knowing that Leonheart kicked Vivian out. Serifi becomes friends with Amit, who is the reptilian's princess. Amit has been sent away until she can get close to Leonheart. Jormungand, the reptilian guard captain, comes back from a mission, and Amit tells Serifi that she's been in love with him since he helped her when she was a child. At a big meal to celebrate Jormungand's return, the other princesses tear Amit's dress, but Serifi lends her a dress that makes everyone look at her. Amit is happy when Jormungand recognizes her. Vivian threatens Serifi because she wants to get close to Leonheart and control him. But Amit comes to help Serifi, and when Leonheart shows up, he gets angry and tells Vivian to leave. The princesses go back to their places, except for Amit, who Leonheart makes Serifi's helper. Leonheart tells Serifi that he doesn't need anyone else, he just wants her. This makes Serifi really happy. Anubis tells Serifi that she has to show she can be a good queen by summoning a holy beast. But Leonheart explains that because she has no magic, she have to use her own life energy for the spell, and it might bring a bad demon instead. Serifi wants to help, so she agrees to try, even though she messes up the spell many times and hurts herself. While resting, Serifi says she's ready to give up her life, but Leonhardt reminds her that she needs to live for him. That makes her determined, and she tries the spell again. This time she summons a baby phoenix named Bennu. Sarifai is the only one who can understand what he says. Bennu is really proud and not very polite. When Anubis questions if he's truly a phoenix, Bennu shares that he ended up like this after using all his power to heal soldiers who didn't appreciate it. Then 2 attackers shoot an arrow at Bennu, and it barely hits him and makes him fall from a wall. Sarifa jumps out of a window to try to save him. To protect her, Bennu turns into his full phoenix form, catches her, and flies high into the sky, which amazes everyone. The people who shot at Bennu get questioned, but they say they did it on instinct because they saw a human. Then they do something really bad to themselves. A human guy attacks the guards, demanding to see Leonhardt. They catch him and put him in a cell. He's really angry at the beasts for what happened to Sarifi. But when he sees Sarifi is actually alive, he's relieved. She tells everyone that he's her childhood friend Ilya, who hates beasts for attacking his village and promised to protect her. Sarifi convinces Leonhardt to let Ilya go back home, but after he's free, he faints because he's so hungry. They put him in a guest room. When Sarifi and Amnit bring him food, he's mean to Amnit because she's a beast. He asks Sarifi to go with him, but she refuses because she's going to marry Leonhardt. This makes him really mad. After comforting Amnit, Sarifi brings Ilya more food. He tries to tell her that a beast like Leonhardt can't really love her, but she won't listen. So he knocks her out and takes her away. Anubis, who wanted Sarifi gone, says she left with him on her own. But Amnit reminds Leonhardt of all the hard work Sarifi did to prove herself. Leonhardt leaves Jormungand in charge while he goes after them on Gwyber. Bennu joins Gwyber and Leonhardt to help them find Sarifi. He can talk to Leonhardt, and Gwyber translates what Bennu says. Ilya is taking Sarifi on a horse, but they get attacked by a group of hyena men. Ilya kills them, but when he tries to hurt a child among them, Sarifi helps the child escape and asks why he's going so far. He tells her that he thinks all beasts are bad and that he loves her. She sadly says no to him and explains that there are good and bad beasts, just like humans. Ilya says that before he met her, beasts killed and ate his mom and little sister Misha, and because of that, he won't stop until all the beasts are gone. He ties her up just as Leonhardt arrives, and they start fighting. Leonhardt doesn't fight back much and gets stabbed in the belly. Ilya stops when he sees Sarifi crying over Leonhardt, realizing that she really loves him. Bennu heals Leonhardt, and Ilya makes Leonhardt promise to protect Sarifi. Bennu flies Sarifi and Ilya to a human place so they can say goodbye properly. Back in the palace, everyone is happy that Sarifi is back, except Anubis. They have a garden party to celebrate. Sarifi thinks about how she can't stop the hate between humans and beasts, but right now, they are happy together. There's a big party to celebrate Duke Galwas, who is a war hero from a fish-like group called the Ichthans. Galwas is mean to his servant, who looks different because of a burn. When he arrives, he insults Sarifi because she's a human. She tries to show him around the palace, but she makes a mistake, which makes him really mad. He gets even angrier when she can't drink the wine he gives her. Sarifi leaves the party, but Leonhardt follows her, shares food with her, and gives her a kiss. Later, she asks Galwas to dance, but he sends his servant in his place. The servant tells her that he got burned by humans as payback for killing some of them. But he doesn't hate humans. When he sees Sarifi and his servant having a good time, Galwas gets mad and threatens his servant with a sword. But Sarifi protects him. When Galwas tries to hurt her, the servant stops him and reveals that he's the real Galwas, and the one who came was his son, Jose. Galwas explains that they were testing Sarifi to see if she's a good person who could be their queen, and she passed. Sarifi asks Leonhardt not to punish them for tricking everyone, so he tells them to keep protecting the kingdom from sea invaders. After everyone goes home, Leonhardt asks Sarifi to dance with him. Sarifi tells Galwas that she feels like she's not good enough to be queen. Anubis wants to kick her out because of this, but Leonhardt says no. It turns out Anubis doesn't like Sarifi because he thinks she only got close to Leonhardt to save herself. Sarifi is looking for new books to read, and Anubis takes her to a library. But when they're alone, he tries to hurt her. Luckily, some books fall on him and knock him out. He has a memory from when he was a kid, and his name was Sirius. His dad, who was the previous Anubis, gave his life to save the old king from assassins. The king then made him the prince's helper. Sirius thought the prince was weird because he wouldn't step on ants and didn't like sword training. When the prince got sick, he took care of him, but they got kidnapped by the assassins. The bad guys tried to hurt Sirius, but the prince protected him and used magic to beat the bad guys. Then, Sirius changed his name to Anubis and devoted his life to Leonhardt. Anubis wakes up, and Seraphi is taking care of him. He's really mad and says he'll never accept her, but she doesn't mind and tells him that Leonhardt was worried about him too. Later, Anubis decides to test Seraphi to see if she's really the right person for Leonhardt. The Grand Consecration, which is a special day to celebrate Osmargo's founding, is coming up. On the night before, Leonhardt turns back into a human, so Seraphi hides him. He's really sad because he thinks his people would hurt him if they found out he can become human. The next morning, they're surprised to see he's still in his human form. The palace is searching for them, so they have to run and hide. Leonhardt slowly turns back into a beast, but he realizes he doesn't have enough time to get ready for the first ceremony. Seraphi talks to Judge Set, who finds them, and she keeps him busy until Leonhardt turns back into a beast. He decides to go to the first ceremony in his regular clothes and gives a great speech about changing and moving forward. After the Grand Consecration, Anubis gives Seraphi a choice. She can be acting queen consort, but if she doesn't do well, she'll get sent away. Or she can say no and just live with Leonhardt as his pet while he picks a new wife. With Benu's encouragement, she chooses to be acting queen consort. Jormungand is away on mission to fight some bad guys. He tells a soldier to stay home and take care of his pregnant wife. Amit makes good luck charms for both Jormungand and Seraphi, but she gets sad when she hears him say he's not interested in getting married. After Seraphi gets her charm, she talks to Amit and tells her not to give up on Jormungand. Amit gives him the charm before he leaves and makes him promise to come back safely. The court goes to an allied nation called Sarbal, so Seraphi can bless King Ted IV and Queen Kaura's new baby Kalkara. However, Kaura doesn't want a human to touch her baby. They have a big meal, but Leonhardt and Seraphi go to bed early. Leonhardt comforts her when she tells him that Kaura looked at her the same empty way her adoptive parents did. When they start the ceremony where Seraphi is supposed to hold Kalkara and kiss his forehead, Kaura pinches Kalkara to make him cry and delay the ceremony. Anubis noticed what she did, but he thinks it's a test for Seraphi. They decide to try the ceremony again the next day. The young Princess Tetra offers to show Seraphi around the palace. When Seraphi is alone with Tetra, Tetra says mean things to her and makes her do silly tasks like playing fetch, taking desserts, and pretending to be a horse. But she's surprised when Seraphi enjoys it and doesn't feel insulted. Tetra tells Seraphi that her mom has been ignoring her since Kalkara was born, and because no one loves her, she wants to jump off a tower to end her life. Seraphi tries to talk her out of it, and she's surprised when Queen Kaura shows up to help too. They convince Tetra that her mom loves her, but she loses her balance and falls off the tower. Seraphi tries to catch her, but they both fall and Gueber saves them. Kaura is grateful to Seraphi for helping her daughter and allows her to do the ceremony. Tetra and Seraphi have a sleepover, and Tetra says she likes Anubis. She's worried that if they got married, their kids would look like him because of his good genetics. Seraphi gets embarrassed when she talks about having kids with Leonhardt. Leonhardt takes Seraphi aside and tells her that he never knew his mom, and his dad, who was the previous king, was really strict with him and locked him up when he turned into a human. When his dad was dying, he said he hated Leonhardt for having human blood and tried to hurt him before he died. Because of this, Leonhardt was scared of having kids, but he promises to be with her once it's safe. The next day, Seraphi says goodbye to Tetra and her family, and they're all happy when Kalkara says his first words, "Big Sister." Subscribe so that I can continue this story and make the next part. Thanks for watching.